This is Love You a Brunch, the show for those who'd rather be brunching. Hi, I'm Jodi Stapler. Today on Love You a Brunch, we will speak to Michael Wilson from Vineyard at Hershey, Pennsylvania, and discuss pairing wines with brunch. We will hear about an experience in Italy from one of our listeners, Terri Mastrobuono, and Jeff Robinson will tell us about the delicious offerings they have at the Deerfield Inn in Newark, Delaware, one of OpenTable's top 100 brunch restaurants in America. We will also take a look at some original recipes from an 1800s handwritten recipe book. So stick around with me and love you a brunch. Today we're speaking with Michael Wilson, Vice President of Marketing and Outreach at the Vineyard at Hershey. Hi, Mike. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So tell me a little bit about yourself and about the Vineyard.
Sure. Well, the Vineyard and Brewery at Hershey is just kicking off its 5th year of business. So it's certainly been a labor of love for our partners and I. We actually met at a bar. We were complete and total strangers and met at a wine bar in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania back in 2007-ish time frame. So I had just finished my MBA at the time and was doing some marketing things for the wine bar, like for their sidewalk chalkboard and their happy hour menu to jazz it up and, find fun ways to bring people in during the happy hour time. And in exchange for that, the manager would give me excellent wine because they had a great wine list. So it was a nice little trade system. And I was there doing that one day, and that's how I met my business partners, our president and now winemaker as well. And they came in, and they sat down, and they ordered the same glass of wine as what I had. And, I overheard them chatting, and our now winemaker was explaining that he comes from an Italian family, and it's been their family tradition to always teach the oldest son how to make, what he referred to as good Italian, old-school, fruit-forward wine. And so he had been doing this since he was in late middle school. And he said, the longer he did it and the more he learned about the family recipes, the more competent he became. And it was his dream to one day do it on a larger scale level. And he explains that Pennsylvania gets a bad rap for only being able to produce as a state what he described as extremely sugary, costlier bee consistency type sweet wines. And I overheard this, and I just said, hey, I don't know you two guys, but I agree 100% with what you're saying. And it's unfortunate. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's given the state of Pennsylvania a bad rap for, that's how we're known for our wine industry. So it was really interesting just sort of chatting with them. And again, our winemaker had brought up, I would really love to do this someday. It would be my dream. So the marketer in me said, well, craft beer, because again, think back, we're going back to 2007-ish time frame. The marketer in me said, well, craft beer is becoming incredibly popular right now. So if you had a place where you could do both wine and craft beer, you'd have a little something for everybody. And our president, who's an attorney, said, well, I'm an attorney and I work with a number of clients with the Liquor Control Board, and a winery and brewery model does not exist in the state of Pennsylvania, but with my contacts and knowledge of the law, I bet I could make that happen. So
very cool.
Yeah. So again, this is all just coincidental. So we all exchanged contact information, and I told the winemaker if he made some samples of his wine, I would be happy to host a focus group at my home. So I didn't think I was going to hear from those guys again, but wouldn't you know, I got a call from our winemaker saying, hey, my wine is ready. Call your focus group. Let's do this thing. So we held a focus group. And the feedback that we were getting was overwhelmingly positive. I kept hearing things like, wow, I can't believe these are made from Pennsylvania grapes, or, oh, wow, I can't believe this is a Pennsylvania product, or some variation of a statement like that.
Right.
Which I later turned into a tagline, the Pennsylvania wine that will change your mind. And that's how we market our wines now. And after we did the focus group, we ended up touching base with our fourth partner, who owned a business for 10 years that came with a 40-acre farm that he wasn't doing anything with.
Wow.
And so that's how we ended up at the property.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's sort of how we got started. And we started out as a little small operation with one room in an 1860s farmhouse. And Paul, our winemaker, his wines were very well received. So by year 2, we ended up constructing a 12,000 square foot building, which now houses our winery, brewery, and cidery. And here we are in 2016 as a top 10 producer in Pennsylvania wine.
That's incredible. You have got to love a story like that.
Yeah, it's been crazy. And what people, I think, don't know or realize is that each one of us continues to work a very demanding full-time day job because we're reinvesting every penny back into the business to keep up with the production demand. So the more we grow, the more expensive everything becomes. So it's been 5 very long years of working, our day jobs and then nonstop of nights and weekends, dedicating all of that time to the business.
Wow, that's incredible. Now let's talk a little bit about the wines. I tend to go for the sweet Rieslings or the sweet Moscatos. I like a very sweet wine. But I see something on your menu called Decider, and I'm wondering if it's something that you think I would like, knowing that I like the sweet wines, because it sounds really interesting, and I'd like to try it.
Yeah, they're just worlds apart in what they are. So, we do have the sweet Riesling. Our Moscato is actually a sparkling Moscato, and it's won best wine in the state of Pennsylvania for our wine competition the past 2 years.
Wow.
So we'll see how that goes. Now, the cider that you're referencing is actually a complete and total spin-off brand for us that we just trademarked. So the Decider is the label, and then we have different variations of that product. So the one that's currently out that's been picked up by the grocery stores and the distributors is a peanut butter caramel hard cider. And it is real peanut butter that we use in the manufacturing of that.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
If you like peanut butter, you will probably love that product.
When I first read it, I thought, peanut butter? That's really strange. But then I said something to my husband, and he said, no, apples and peanut butter, that everybody likes that. And you know what? He's right.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Willy Wonka's everlasting gobstopper because it's very layered in its approach.
Right.
So first you get, the apple because it's technically an apple base. Then you get caramel, and then it's all peanut butter on the finish. And again, we use real peanut butter in that, which makes a tremendous difference. So it's a really unique product, and it's fantastic with salted caramel ice cream and pretzels.
Ooh, I think I'm going to have to go get some of that this weekend. That sounds really good. Now, I have to say, I'm not a wine connoisseur, and I'm just learning about new wines. Can I learn more about this at the Vineyard at Hershey?
I am doing a Wine 101 class in conjunction with the Hotel Hershey at the end of this month at our winery. If you'd like to join, it would be an honor to have you.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love that. Thank you. Now, can our listeners find out about different events and classes on your website, vineyardathershey.com?
They sure can. Yep, absolutely. We're very event-driven. So we put up all of our events.
Great.
Yeah, our entire 2016 calendar is done rather. So people can look at that or our Facebook page. We drive much of our website traffic through the Facebook page as well.
I'm noticing here on the site that the classes are taught by a Merlot Mike. Now, are you Merlot Mike?
That's correct.
Now, I also see on here that it says Merlot Mike likes to dress up.
I do. I wear a purple suit and a crown. I mean, if you're going to be king of the Pennsylvania grapes, you have to have a crown. And then new this year, and I'm actually sitting in it right now, I have a Merlot mobile.
Oh, cool.
That I take to events and drive to events. It's all tied into our social media channels, and I use it as giveaways. It's basically a modern-day Where's Waldo through use of a vehicle.
Yeah, that's cool. What does the vehicle look like?
It is like Barney with glitter. It is. It's an SUV because if I have to bring wine and cider and such to functions, I got to be able to get everything in and out conveniently.
Right.
But it's
right.
a Honda CRV, and it's all bright, sparkly purple with graphics all over it, with our hashtag and all of our social media information.
I'll have to look out for that. What is the hashtag for that?
Well, for the vehicle, it's Merlot Mobile, which will take you to all of our other channels. I didn't want to make it too complicated.
Tell me a little bit about the Hershey area, if anybody's in from out of town visiting. Hershey really is a very nice area. We've got Chocolate World, we've got the Hershey Gardens, of course, Hershey Park, and then, of course, very close to Harrisburg and many other locations that they can visit.
Absolutely. So we're great partners with the Hershey Harrisburg Visitors Bureau. And there's so much to do here. And what we're trying to do is help other wineries as well, because the number of wineries in Pennsylvania is increasing exponentially. If you were to go back just 10 years, you would find just shy of 50 wineries in the state, and there are now almost 210.
Wow.
And we're actually 6th in national production.
Oh my gosh.
In terms of the wine industry. So there's a ton happening in Pennsylvania wine. And the nice thing about the Hershey-Harrisburg region is we're home to almost 20 different wineries, and they're all within it's about a 30-minute drive. If you were to take a dart and throw it at Hershey, you would be able to get to one of nearly 20 wineries within a 30-minute drive.
Oh, wow. So is there like a wine tour that you guys have set up?
Yeah, we actually own what's known as the Hershey-Harrisburg Wine Country as well. So we offer support and events year-round to all of our neighbor and partner wineries. So it kind of keeps everyone going all year round, and it gives people who visit the region something different to do. And the beauty of all of our wineries is they are all so drastically different. Nobody's atmosphere is the same. Nobody's recipes are the same. The way they look is all different. So, and people like that sort of thing. So they get different experiences, and it gives them something unique to do.
Okay, so if you're having a brunch party and you're inviting a lot of guests and you're having a lot of pastries and waffles and things like that, now you're not usually going to have alcohol at breakfast, but that's why we like brunch, because you're allowed to drink.
Yep.
So what wines would you suggest?
So I'm really big on pairings because sometimes, and I find this in wine classes all the time. For example, you mentioned that you like sweet wines, okay? So some people may just go to their default. I like sweet wines. I'm going to bring a sweet wine to this brunch. But sometimes it's actually about the pairing, not necessarily what you would prefer every day for your palate. And so it's about complementing flavors, so that you can just find that perfect pairing. So I think the answer to that really sort of depends on what the menu is. Now, I think anytime you're having a brunch, you kind of have that staple. It typically starts off with a mimosa. So I can tell you that. So if you wanted to go something sparkling Moscato makes a fantastic mimosa as a base. So you could just keep it really simple and add some orange juice or something along those lines to it. I actually like to take strawberries and very thinly slice them and drop one or two into the top of a glass of Moscato, and the effervescence of it just kind of slowly sort of melts away the flavor of the strawberry and infuses it into the Moscato, and it's fantastic.
Right, and I bet it's so pretty.
It is, yeah, and you could do the same thing with a raspberry, but my personal preference is to do very thin slices of strawberry. The other thing that you could do if you didn't want to go sparkling right off the bat, you can actually use a Niagara wine, and it's your quintessential look, smells, and tastes like grandma's grape juice with a kick. But there are fun things that you can add to that. Like I like to do either pineapple juice or something with a grenadine. There are really creative ways that you can kind of class that up. And then if you want bubbles for that, you can use either club soda or like a Sprite or something along those lines. So there's some neat cocktails you can make with those.
So what about your meats, like your ham, your turkey, your beef? What would you pair with those things?
So beef, I would usually use something on the red side, and it would really kind of depend on how it's prepared. Now, we make a red blend, and those are really hot right now in the wine industry. The one that we do is a Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Syrah, and it's aged in French oak. So if you have a really nice sort of hearty red meat, that will pair with that phenomenally. If I'm looking at something with turkey or chicken or something along those lines, that one to me is going to depend on how the sauce is prepared because there are different white wines that I might use for that. So, for example, a turkey or a chicken, if it has some sort of like a lemon sauce or something citrusy, I'm probably going with an unoaked Chardonnay, or either a dry or sweet Riesling, or maybe even a Gewürztraminer. But if I have something that, is a little more thick and buttery, and you're really going for that savory kind of flavor, well, then I'm going oak Chardonnay all the way on that.
Okay. What about seafood then? Because nowadays a lot of people are serving seafood at their brunches.
Yeah. So, if you're going for things like a raw bar with crab or oysters or clams, mussels, things along those lines, well, then I'm probably using a little bit more of an earthy wine because it's going to complement, what's coming out of salt water. So for something like that, I would probably go Sauvignon Blanc, or even there's a popular wine in Pennsylvania called Cheval Blanc, which is completely different. It's just a nice, dry, earthy white, very lightly oaked, so it's going to complement all of those flavors nicely.
Now, what if you're like me and you're going directly to the desserts? What wines do you pair with the desserts? I'm assuming you don't stick with the sweets.
Actually, that may not be the case at all. Again, it just kind of depends on what you're going for. Let's say you've got something with dark chocolate in it. Well, you could easily go, there's a dry red there. So again, some of those red blends, it'll accentuate the notes in the dark chocolate nicely. But on the flip side, we also make a Lambrusco style Italian red called Crimson Fox that would do great with that. We make port wines. We have two different versions of it. One is a blackberry port. It's 100% blackberry. There's not a grape in it. We actually age it in oak to cut through the tartness and then fortify it with brandy to turn it into a port. Well, that's going to go phenomenally. Actually, that would even go great. You mentioned waffles earlier. That would go great with waffles. But it'll also do very, very well with your ice cream. Heck, even a bagel with cream cheese would complement the blackberry flavors in that very well. And then if you're looking for something with fruit, if you're going a little healthier on your dessert option because you're going to have some wine, some nice blush wines or rosés will go very well with that also.
Okay, so if I take some vanilla ice cream and I pour some of the blackberry port on top, it sounds like it would be delicious. Or you could even make a drink out of it.
It would
like a milkshake or something.
Port wine floats. We serve them at the winery.
Oh, do you really? That's awesome.
We sure do. Yep, we have wine jello shots, wine port wines. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can do with wine. Oh, I forgot about wine slushies. Yeah, you could do.
Oh, right, wine slushies. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, delicious. There are all sorts of things you can do. Now that cider that we were discussing earlier, we've been playing around with cocktail recipes for that because it's such a unique product, and it was actually really difficult to think of some awesome recipes for that. Now, my favorite is to use that peanut butter caramel cider as the base. Turns out it is fantastic with Stoli salted caramel vodka. And then what we And then what we do is turn it into a martini, and you can rim the glass with cinnamon and brown sugar. And you can take a slice of an apple, hang it right on the side as a garnish, and you can dip it. You can use the rim of the glass, and it is one awesome cocktail.
Oh, what a cool drink.
Yeah.
That would be great for a party. What color is that?
Yeah, it's like a beautiful caramel color. Yeah. And then, of course, there's always the fantastic sangria recipes. You can make some really nice sangrias. I offer 2 recipes in our tasting room. One is more of a citrus-based sangria, and we'll use our Crimson Fox, which is that Lambrusco sweeter Italian red I was telling you about. And we'll do lemons, limes, pears, apples, cinnamon sticks, and brandy. Let it sit overnight, and it is fantastic. And then for a berry-based sangria, we will use either our pink Catawba wine, which is a nice blush, or we have another blush that is a combination blend of a dry red and a sweet white. It's called Twisted Kiss. It's one of our signature wines. And that is more conducive to a sangria with very dark berry fruits. So really dark grapes, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, things like that. I use an apricot brandy to fortify that, and then use a little cinnamon in that, and it is phenomenal.
You guys have just about every kind of wine there is. I'm looking at your menu, and I mean, there's the dries, there's the sweets, everything.
And that's the idea.
In fact, my husband likes the Merlots and the drier things, and of course I like the sweets.
Yeah.
And we can never find something that we both like. Is there something that you can recommend?
Yeah, that's actually why we make that dry red, sweet white blend. We find that to be a great middle ground for couples in your circumstance. So we offer 20 different wines, and 10 of those are dry, and the other 10 are on the semi-sweet to sweetened dessert side. So we do try to have a little bit of something for everyone there, and that's also why we added the beer and the cider. Right,
that's right. You guys also have the beer tastings as well as the wine tastings, don't you?
We do. We rotate between 12 different beers on tap any given weekend, and only 3 of those are flagship. The rest we rotate out all the time, so there's always something unique and different when people come to visit. And then within the next 2 months, we will have 4 different versions of that cider. We have the peanut butter caramel. We have a 100% Pennsylvania Honeycrisp apple cider that will be out in about 2 weeks. And then immediately following that is going to be a vanilla pear bourbon. It's fantastic. And then the other one I can't talk about yet because of legal protection issues that we're securing.
Right. Well, that's exciting. That's something for people to look forward to and to keep watching the website and the Facebook page.
Yeah, and we're also very social media driven. So we have the largest Facebook following by far of any winery in Pennsylvania. We try to have a lot of fun with that. Just engaging with our customers, and it's more about the interaction with them than pictures of fancy bottles. It really kind of gives us a chance to, we use that to let our customers name our wine. They've chosen our logo. I mean, they're really building everything that we're doing. They drive all of that. So
you are definitely part of the community, and you're bringing them all together. So that's great.
No doubt.
So do you have any events or activities coming up that you would like to let everybody know about?
Yeah, absolutely. Any given weekend, we do tastings on wine, beer, and cider, so people can come at their leisure and do that. If they want a little bit more of a behind-the-scenes sort of aspect, we do book private staff-led tours and tastings where we pair with gourmet cheeses, chocolates, things along those lines. But then, as I mentioned earlier, we have a very, very robust calendar of events ranging from concerts to murder mysteries to educational classes where we partner with our neighboring dairy farm who makes cheese with our wine. We'll go look at each person's production process and kind of educate people about how we make wine, beer, cider, cheese, all of those things. So all throughout the year, We have all kinds of things going on. And then one of the things that people seem to enjoy quite a bit is our concert series. We're doing an acoustic version of it indoors on Friday nights beginning in March. And then we will move outdoor for summer concerts May through September with stage lighting, 7-piece bands. And we usually get 600 or so people every Friday night for those. They're a blast.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. They're so much fun.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Michael Wilson, or should I say Merlot Mike, for speaking with me today. I really enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm going to head out to the Vineyard at Hershey one of these days and pick up, let's see, the cider, the sweet Riesling, the sweet sparkling Moscato, and I'm going to try that blackberry port because I think I'm going to like that. Now, where can we find you on Facebook?
It's under the Vineyard and Brewery at Hershey. They can find us on Facebook there and join the other 25,000 people that are having some fun with us in Pennsylvania. There is one more key point that I would like to point out before we end the podcast. And it's amazing to me how many folks do not realize this, but as long as you reside within the state of Pennsylvania, we can actually ship wine directly to your front door. And a lot of people think that you can't do any shipping of wine in Pennsylvania. That's actually not the case. You just can't ship in out-of-state wine in Pennsylvania. So the way that we have it set up on our website is you can go right into our wine shop. You can read the tasting notes from the winemaker, each one that's going on. If you want to assemble it to your cart, FedEx is the next exit down from us, and we can get it to you in no time. So
Great.
You actually can get unique local wines shipped right to your front door if you can't make it out to the tasting room.
Great. Very good. Now, that's all on your website. They can go right in there and find all that and figure it out.
That is all on our website. That's correct.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And also, you guys, if you're out there and you do any hashtags, make sure you hit up hashtag MerlotMobile.
Correct. All one word. You'll see the purple car in all its glory.
Okay, very good. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you. Have a great day.
So today I'm going to share with you a recipe that I found in an old antique recipe book that my grandfather actually gave to me. One of the things he liked to collect were old antique books, and he'd pick them up at flea markets and antique stores. And I've actually continued with that love of collecting antique books, but this one's really special because it is a recipe book that it looks like was given to someone as they got married. All their friends and family put different recipes in it with their names. Most of it's written in pencil, so it is a little difficult to read. There's some newspaper little clippings in, but from the best that I've been able to date it from one of the clippings that are inside, it's from the late 1800s. Now, if you're from Pennsylvania or if you've ever been through Pennsylvania, you've probably heard of a pie called shoe fly pie. A lot of people, when they come here on bus tours or taking a trip to see the Amish or things like that, they ask, what is a shoe fly pie? Well, a shoe fly pie is a pie that's really sweet and rich with molasses. And that's why I'm assuming they call it a shoe fly pie, because you have to shoo those flies away. As a child, the name shoe fly pie kind of scared me, so I would never even try the pie. But as an adult, I've tried it and love it. It's at every family gathering if you are in Lancaster County. There are many different types of recipes. There's a wet bottom, there's a dry bottom shoe fly pie. And if you look on the internet, shoe fly pie, I'm sure you will find very many different recipes. This recipe is one that was actually written by the mother of the person who was given this recipe book. And luckily, it's one of the most legible inside the recipe, but I'm going to share it with you today, and maybe you can try some good old Pennsylvania Dutch or Pennsylvania German shoe fly pie. And I hope you enjoy it. Shoe fly pie. The wet part that you're going to mix is 1 cup of molasses, 1 cup of warm water, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 3.5 cups of flour, that's all purpose, 1/2 cup of butter and lard. So usually in the recipes around here, Pennsylvania German recipes, you'll find that they actually split whatever the measurement is. So they'll do 1/2 of butter and 1/2 of lard. So if it calls for a 1/2 cup of butter, you're doing 1/4 cup of butter and a quarter cup of lard. And then 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So you mix that all up, and it's a very wet mixture. You put that into a pie crust that you have already baked. Then you're going to mix together a crumb, which is 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of flour, and a quarter cup of butter and a quarter cup of lard. You're going to crumb that like with a fork or a pastry cutter and turn it into crumbs. You have the bottom crust. You fill that with the wet mixture, and then you cover that with the crumb on top. Now, it will sink down when you bake it. Now, of course, this recipe does not have any times for oven temperature or of time limit on baking, but I would recommend that you bake it in a preheated oven for about 15 minutes at 400 degrees, and then lower the temperature to 350 degrees and bake it an additional 30 minutes. When you are done baking, pull it out. Put it on a cooling rack to cool down. It will not be completely set. Once it cools down, it will set. And then delicious. Have it with some vanilla ice cream. That's the way we do it here. Of course, some of us will sit down and eat an entire shoe fly pie here in Lancaster and feel bad for it later, but I wouldn't recommend that. But go ahead and try this recipe. It's an original recipe from the 1800s. See if it's going to work out for you, and see if shoe fly pie is something you're going to serve at your next family gathering or your family brunch.
Hi, Jodi. Terri Mastrobuono. So here's the story that I was telling you about. So I have a house in Italy that I rent out, and during the summer I'm there acting as the innkeeper. The people there in that town are just really they've been wonderfully embracing, and they've accepted me, and they've helped my guests, and I'm always trying to find something nice to do for them. So one year, the previous summer before this one of my neighbors who lives 2 doors down asked me if I could teach her how to make American-style pancakes, and I said yes. So this past summer, I bought a bag of pancake mix from the Bird & Hand Bakery. I wanted them to be not just American, but official Pennsylvania Dutch pancakes. So I bought those pancake mix, and I brought them to her last summer. And then I presented them the pancake mix to her, and I realized all the instructions were written in English. So I said, okay, why don't you come over and I'll have a typical American style, the whole breakfast. I'll show you how to make the pancakes, and I'll give you a typical American style breakfast. But we had to do it at lunch because she works until the Italian lunch at 1 o'clock. So it was technically brunch. So she came. I invited her, her daughter, her niece, and also the priest who lives next door, because that's quite an Italian tradition, is having a priest over for a meal. So they came over. I made pancakes with butter, syrup, fried eggs, orange juice, and bacon. Bacon's a hard thing to get in Italy, and so is syrup. I had to go to several different grocery stores and get the bacon, but I finally, instead of pancetta, I got actually thin-style American bacon. And I cooked this big meal. But of course, in Italy, you can't go to anybody's house for a meal without bringing something. So Manola, my neighbor, brought this huge crostata. It must have been 12 inches in diameter, with a puff pastry, or rather a short crust pastry crust, and then raspberry filling and wonderful lattice work on the top. So she comes with this crostata in addition to the pancakes and butter and syrup and orange juice and eggs and bacon. And we sit down, and then the priest arrives with this huge tray of cookies that must have been 12 inches across by 8 inches wide. This mountain of Italian wedding cookies, chocolate cookies and fruit-filled cookies and sprinkle cookies. And so there, in addition to the pancakes and butter and syrup and orange juice and eggs and bacon, we have these cookies. So after we ate all this huge pancakes and butter and syrup and eggs and bacon and orange juice, we have to have coffee, and the coffee has to be accompanied by the sweets. So after this huge meal, we have this pile of sweets on the table with our coffee. Of course, everybody was full, so they just politely took like a half a cookie and one thin slice of the crostata. And then when it came time to leave, I said, well, okay, here, you guys have to take this with you, some of this with you. But that was like It was a huge faux pas because you never take away something that you brought from an Italian meal. So they said, no, you have to keep it. You have to keep it. You can eat it piano piano. Everything in Italy is piano piano, like little by little, slowly. They said, no, you can just eat a little of the crostata for breakfast, piano piano, and the cookies for dessert, piano piano. And they left with this pile of sweets on my table. The crostata I did eat piano piano, eventually, little by little, most of it, for breakfast. The cookies I packed up in a box and sent them off to my husband in America, and he got a chance to enjoy part of the brunch too. So that's my story. Thanks, Jodi. Bye-bye.
I'd like to thank Terri for calling in. If you have a story, recipe, or question you'd like to share, please Skype us at Love You a Brunch Podcast. Since we have time today, I thought I would pick another one of the recipes out of this old 1800s recipe book. Again, this was a recipe book that someone had gotten probably for a wedding or a baby shower or a birthday or something like that. And it has all the friends and family leaving recipes. So go to loveyouabrunch.net and click on episode 3, and you'll get to see some pictures of the recipes and of the recipe book. Or you can also check us out on our Facebook page at Love You a Brunch. This next recipe I'm going to share is for lemon beer. Now, don't get that confused with actual alcohol. This is a lemon soda, almost like a ginger ale or a Sprite, Sierra Mist, something like that. And you'll have to excuse it because it is not exactly the way we are used to recipes today. Of course, it was written by, a mom, wife that would normally make this. In fact, it says it was made by Mary Bowers, actually signed her name to this recipe. So in the late 1800s, if you have a relative from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, with the name of Mary Bowers, this could be her recipe. So lemon beer. The ingredients are 1 bucket of water, 1.5 pounds of light sugar. Now, I'm going to assume that's light brown sugar, but it could be granulated sugar as well. So it might be something you just have to try and experiment. 1 pint of yeast, 1 teaspoon cream of tartar, and 1 teaspoon of ginger, and 2 lemons. So you're going to scald the lemons and the sugar with 2 quarts of boiling water. You're going to cool it off then put in the yeast, stir it right well, and put it in the sun for 1 hour and a half. Now, I didn't see where to put in the cream of tartar and the ginger, but I would say put that in with the lemons and the sugar and the boiling water. Good luck! I hope you enjoy it as much as Mary Bowers did. And I know I'm going to try it with the kids this summer. I think this is one they can handle. We've been talking to different restaurants across the country that were voted one of the top 100 brunch restaurants in America by OpenTable. And today, I spoke to Jeffrey Robinson from the Deerfield Inn in Newark, Delaware. So we're talking to Jeff. Hi, Jeff. How are you today?
Hello. How are you?
Pretty good. Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm the general manager at Deerfield. Deerfield is a special events venue, public golf course, and special dining events location in Newark, Delaware, which is very close to the University of Delaware. And one of our featured offerings throughout the especially September to May timeframe is our Sunday brunch, which is a great opportunity to have people enjoy an amazing brunch buffet with family and friends, and also around holiday time as well.
Right. And you guys were actually voted one of the top 100 brunch restaurants in U.S. from OpenTable. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. We've won the Best of Delaware, which is a more local recognition for the last 7 or so seasons, which we love. But then when we got that national recognition via OpenTable and got to the top 100 list, that was a great feather in our cap, and it's really brought more people to Deerfield to try our brunch. So it's been a great bit of exposure for us and a way for us to introduce it to new guests.
Right. And, well, I'm looking at your website, and the food looks amazing. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about what you guys have here?
Yeah, we like to talk about our Sunday brunch as 111 feet of brunchy goodness. It is truly more than 111 feet now because we keep adding things. And it is just a great mix of all your traditional favorites. So that's scrambled eggs and bacon and sausage and French toast and, some of the salads and sides, and then really some more unique items to a brunch buffet, something like our rack of lamb, which we offer weekly, our millionaire bacon, which is just this amazing spicy chili powder, cayenne pepper, brown sugar infused bacon, and then some great dessert options that we've expanded upon over the last year as well. People also love the raw bar. That raw bar that now features a more expansive seafood station this year, that's also been a great addition to the brunch buffet as well. So we just keep trying to make it better and better every year. We retain all the things that are the most popular, and then we try to always mix in some new items every year as well so that when people come back, they get some fresh flavors and some fresh tastes that they hadn't had previously.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about your seafood.
Well, the raw bar has always been a major plus to Sunday brunch, and people have loved the raw bar. So that's peel and eat shrimp, that's oysters on the half shell, is crab legs, but then we've expanded upon that this year and added the steamed mussel station as well as the steamed clams. And that's been a really popular addition because now you've got some hot items mixed into that raw bar as well. So we've really sort of expanded into a little bit more of a full-service seafood station. And, of course, over there as well are our crab cakes, which are very, very popular. People love the crab cakes here. So that really has made the seafood lovers, come to brunch even in larger numbers and with more enthusiasm than we even had before.
Right. And I see that you have just a station that's set up just for the kids.
Yeah, we love the kid station. Not every kid is going to be as excited about a rack of lamb as mom and dad might. So we've got a kid station, which is mac and cheese bites, and it's chicken fingers, and it's Lego fries, and gummy bears, and, just some Rice Krispie treats. I mean, there's all kinds of little things over there for the kids to enjoy. And, it tends to keep them kind of occupied with some of their favorite flavors so that mom and dad can be sure to get all the things that they want out of brunch as well.
Right. Do you guys have any special cocktails that you serve?
Yeah, definite standards are our mimosas and our Bloody Marys, which can be made in a variety of ways. We also have a mean mimosa, which we serve, which includes a shot of Fireball. So that can be popular. It kind of spices it up a little bit and adds a little bit more of an alcoholic flavor to the drink. In addition to that, we have just an array of wine and beer selections available, and then generally some specialty drinks, whether it's a punch or it's a sangria. I mean, it can really vary week to week, some of the additional beverages that are available. All your sodas and all your juices are included, and obviously coffee and tea as well, included as brunch, so the alcoholic beverages are above and beyond, but it's a great way to make the brunch a little bit more of an event, especially if a family's celebrating a special occasion, it's a birthday or a baptism or anything like that. Having the ability to turn it into even a little bit more of a celebration is a great thing to be able to offer the guests.
What really stands out at your brunch? What do you think is one of the main things that people just cannot get enough of?
Well, people love to customize. I think it's just in our nature. So, of course, the omelet station is a huge hit with everybody because they can mix in the crab meat and the bacon and the ham and the peppers and the veggies that they love. We've also added an Eggs Benedict station, which is somewhat customized because we have a traditional Eggs Benedict and then a more signature, less traditional Eggs Benedict recipe every week, and the guests can actually request that from their server. And instead of it being out on a buffet line, because Eggs Benedict really does not hold very well, it is made to order in the kitchen, then delivered table side based on a guest's request.
Great.
And now some of the dessert items that we have are very customized. We've added this year our funnel cake fry station. So just like if you're at the fair, we have those funnel cake fries, which we can put in a small dish, and then the guests can dress them with the syrups and the toppings and the fruit and whipped cream that they like. So I would say that any of those items that are kind of customizable, whether it's the omelets, the dessert or whatever, is among the most popular choices. Well, the funnel cake fry station is very, very popular. We've got an amazing array of cakes, of pies, of single-serving desserts, petit fours. It's just an amazing array. But one thing that the guests absolutely love is our bread pudding. I've had people tell me every Sunday at brunch that even if they generally don't like bread pudding, they somehow seem to love our bread pudding. And And people ask for it by name, and it's always a very, very popular selection. We tend to mix up the flavor a little bit, maybe make it a little bit different around the holidays than it may be the rest of the year. But the bread pudding is something that the guests really, really enjoy, and it's a great way to cap what is really a fantastic and diverse meal here at Deerfield for Sunday brunch.
Great, yeah. Now, what do you think makes it different?
I think it's just the flavor and it's the texture. You know, bread pudding has that great sort of creaminess, but then it's got kind of the little crispy edges on top, and then we top it with a creme anglaise to give it a really creamy finish, and it's just wildly popular. People love it and they come back, and I'm not sure that they would stand for it if we ever decided to take it away. It's just a very, very popular part of the menu.
Yeah. Making me hungry.
That's the idea.
Yeah. So tell me, all this great food, who can we thank for that?
We've got a team of great culinarians here at Deerfield, people with amazing experience, and, you know, it definitely is not just one person in the kitchen that makes it happen. There's a whole group of people that, you know, really not only design the entrees and the salads and the sides and the soups and everything week to week, because we always want to keep that menu fresh and different week to week, but then obviously deliver it with a high level of flavor and quality. So we're very fortunate to have, you know, one of the region's top teams of culinarians that create this product for us every week and make it available to our guests.
Great. Sounds wonderful. So tell me, what's the atmosphere like when you come there? If someone's traveling through town, is it okay to just show up in your jeans and T-shirt, or is it a little bit fancier dress? What's it like?
Yeah, it's pretty casual. You know, we don't see too many jeans and T-shirts, but that's certainly not out of the question. There is no official dress code. We want people to be comfortable. We want them to enjoy themselves. So I would say it's you know, casual, but still you know, still a level that would be reserved for a little bit more of a special occasion.
Okay.
It's just, you know, gathering after church or enjoying a Sunday morning, or whether it's one of our holiday events, which are a little bit different from our brunch offerings, but are set up in a very similar fashion.
What times do you have your brunches?
Sunday brunch is served from late September to early May, and it's from 10 until 2. And that is our, you know, reservations from 10 until 2. So we definitely have guests, you know, in the room, you know, as late as 4 o'clock or so, probably on most Sundays. And you don't necessarily have to have a reservation for a typical Sunday. If it's just a regular Sunday in October, November, February, March, you know, non-holidays, then, you know, generally people can kind of walk in and get a table fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. We average about 150 to 225 guests per brunch, so it's a nice turnout, but it's also a pretty good sized space. So there's definitely room for walk-ins, which we love. But then we also do transition over to specialty holiday dining events on Thanksgiving, Brunch with Santa, Easter, Mother's Day, and then our only brunch of the summer, which is Father's Day. And those events we really do highly recommend reservations because they can sell out as much as 10 days in advance.
Wow, that's
so
great.
It is. That's one of those where you definitely want to have a reservation, you know, in advance versus a typical Sunday brunch, which isn't quite as restrictive.
Right. Now, how can people find you?
Best place to learn about brunch and everything Deerfield is at our website, which is deerfieldgolfclub.com. Or, of course, they can call us at area code 302-368-6640. We've got a variety of social media platforms as well, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and our YouTube channel, which has some great information on Deerfield and on our Sunday brunch as well.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff, for talking with us today. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us before we say goodbye?
No, we just obviously want to encourage everyone when they're either in Delaware or traveling through. You know, Delaware is very conveniently located in that I-95 corridor. So anyone that's traveling up and down 95, be it from New York, Philadelphia, Washington, or Baltimore, we're a great, easy stop right off of I-95. So we'd certainly love to have your listeners join us and visit us online and see what Delaware's Best Sunday Brunch is all about.
Very good. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for including us.
Thanks.
I want to thank Jeffrey Robinson from the Deerfield Inn, Newark, Delaware. You can find out more about Deerfield Inn at deerfieldgolfclub.com. And Michael Wilson from Vineyard at Hershey. Make sure you check them out at vineyardathershey.com and on Facebook. Thanks also goes out to Terri Mastrobuono for sharing your story with us. And lastly, but surely not least, thank you for listening to Love You a Brunch. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to our podcast and let us know how you like the show. Also, you can visit us at loveyouabrunch.net, Skype us at Love You a Brunch Podcast, or visit us on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and Instagram. Join us next week when we speak to Robin Asbell, chef, author, and instructor, as she tells us about her new book, The Whole Grain Promise. Thanks so much from Love You a Brunch. I'm Jodi Stabler.